an incredible founder and operator with a storied career behind him. I mean, this is the kind of guy that you want marrying your daughter. You know what I'm saying? They walk in with this kind of resume. You're like, yes, please. Let me see what kind of dowry I can work out here so that you can become part of the family. I am talking about the one and only Matt Mullenax, co-founder of Huron. Get in here, Matt. Get in here.
Oh, look at him.
That's an intro.
Yeah, that's what you deserve, brother.
Wow,
you know,
that's a lot.
You got that Stanford MBA background, the PE, and you got the GQ. You got the GQ looks too, Matt. So we appreciate you coming on the show. And man, I would just appreciate if you would just, man, take people back for those who don't know you. And I know that you were early on at Bonobos. You've got this finance background, PE experience. And you went to Stanford, got the MBA, and now you entered into D2C. And I think you started a brand that really helped a problem that you had. Man, I'd love it if you would just give us perspective on how that prior experience helped you or didn't, and entering into and growing Huron where it is today.
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me.
Of course.
That's a lot to unpack there. So maybe we could start at what is the proverbial early chapter. So I graduated in 2008. I started my career in investment banking at Morgan Stanley, which turns out 2008 was probably not the ideal time to kick off a career as an investment banker. Was there for about a year or so, but just kind of quickly grew tired of the monotony and quite honestly, like what was happening in the economy. I mean, half my class was getting fired like left, right, and sideways. So it was just not a great time to be in the finance sphere. Ended up meeting the guys at Bonobos really early days. There was 4 guys at the time. There was a few consultants, and just really hit it off, and ended up leaving my job at Morgan Stanley to go sell pants online. To my parents.
Yes.
Who, you know, bless their respective hearts, like they're very supportive. They're like, okay, yeah, like go for it. So I started Bonobos. I mean, again, this is, you know, it was December of 2008. There was no Shopify. There was no ecosystem, right? Like we had a part-time tech team. I ran to FedEx every day. We used to take hockey bags up to the garment district and bring pants back 20 at a time, you know, to help jump the cut and sew line. We would go bring Bud Heavies and cigarettes to half the employee. Like it was just like wild.
Wow.
There were no rules.
Awesome.
But what was really infectious for me was just the approach towards being customer first and consumer first. And I think both Andy and Brian, who were the co-founders of Bonobos, were just obsessed with the Zappos kind of way of doing business. I mean, so our CX team was called the Ninjas. We just did anything and everything for the customer. I mean, we would have multiple times where people would spend their work vacations traveling to New York just so they could come to Bonobos HQ, which was wild. Wow. So it was just like, it was such a really interesting way of kind of thinking about how to celebrate and champion your best and biggest customers. So that certainly always stuck with me. After Bonobos, I kind of decided like I wanted to be like Andy and Brian. So I effectively emulated their career journeys. I got back into finance. I moved to Chicago. I worked in investment banking. Then I worked for a growth equity firm for 3 years, also headquartered in Chicago, kind of investing in early stage consumer brands like a Bonobos. And then again, like trying to follow Andy and Brian, I went to Stanford, which is where kind of Bonobos was incubated. And then kind of got the early stage consumer entrepreneur itch myself. So was thinking about like the categories that made sense for me, and kind of like broader personal care was almost a slam dunk. I mean, I think professionally as an investor, I spent a lot of time looking at the beauty and cosmetic space, and like, man, there's so many amazing brands targeting the female consumer. And like, this is such a great 9 to 5, and like so many amazing bosses, and like there was so much talent in the space. Like, this is so cool. But then my 5 to 9 was I would go to Walgreens and buy Arctic Blast body wash. Like, well, that's not anything like I just did for 10 hours sitting at a desk, right? I was reading all about clean ingredient profiles and all these things, and like, this is just not it. So professionally, that was always a category that I wanted to come back to. I think on the personal side of things, like I was just the kid that grew up with bad skin. So I was an athlete growing up. I eventually played football in college, but was constantly running from AAU basketball games to football practice to track meets, and my skin took a beating. And so did my confidence, quite honestly. Yeah. So the thought was, I had terrible skin as a teenager, into my 20s, kind of like early working career. I actually had a boss tell me, he was like, hey man, like we can't take you to any more management meetings until you fix this. And I was like, oh, sick. Like, wow. I'm acutely aware of what's happening right now. It's not great. But I was living on Huron Street at the time. So like, that's the genesis of the Huron brand name. But the thought was like, well, how could you kind of marry these two very disparate worlds of like what I research during the day, which is like amazing brands, clean formulas, technologically advanced, coupled with like a broader segment, maybe not just guys, but like folks who were high performers who like didn't know where to go, right? Like what was on shelf at Walgreens or CVS, or paying $75 for body wash. And like, I didn't know anyone who sat in the latter camp. So that was kind of like the early innings of trying to get something off the ground. Actually built and launched a fake brand shortly after graduation from business school, had a lot of success doing that, ran meta ads all across the Midwest to see if we kind of a non-target consumer, basically me when I was growing up. Ended up taking those learnings, moving from SF where I was living at the time back to New York. I met my co-founder here. My co-founder used to run product development and corporate innovation at Estee Lauder. So he had a ton of product and packaging background and ingredient expertise and whatnot. And we launched in 2019 and have kind of been off the races ever since.
Incredible. Chris, when I think of brand owners to bet on, there's literally a picture of Matt, and it's look at this guy. This is the guy you should bet against, and you should not ever bet against him.
Don't bet against him.
I know that you're probably still thinking. I know you still got a little bit of that IB viewpoint where you're looking at brands and you're saying that's a really interesting thing. Are there any brands right now outside of what you're doing that people should know about? And you're saying these are really interesting folks. These are really interesting operators that are world class in the same sense like yourself.
It's a really good question. I mean, I don't think I'll mention any brands that are like not on either of your respective radars, but like obviously what Chad is doing at Groons is like incredibly impressive. I mean, Chad was a former banker and private equity investor himself. Like, and I think that, what this seat forces many to do, not all, but many, is it forces you to know your numbers. Now, where I think that can be table stakes is like, hey, I work with this consultant who does this and files our books, and I log onto this platform and I see this number. But like truly understanding, I still update our same marketing dashboard that I updated on launch day, on the morning of launch. Wow. It's the same, takes me the same 10 minutes. I refuse to automate it because it forces me to go on platform and see trends and understand what's happening so that 10 minutes into my working day, I know exactly what happened the day before. Yeah. And I think it's like that obsession, quite honestly, with like the nuts and bolts of the inner workings of the company that allows us to say like at any given point in time, like I know exactly where we're trending, where we're at versus last year, where we're at quarter to date, like how we, performing versus plan. And I think in an AI-based world, a lot of that stuff has been outsourced because for many, it's not comfortable, right? Yeah. It's like, like our gross margin, like what I've heard should be X, but it's Y, but like, I really don't know how to get us there. So I think people who are, very numerically and quantitatively fluent, like there will always be opportunities for those folks. I think like that's one kind of like breed of operators that we've seen in this cohort. The other is just like pure play growth marketers. It's like, hey, I started an agency or I did X. Like I live and breathe meta, and like I can architect this business to greatness. Those are kind of like the two camps that I'm seeing. But I mean, Chad has done a terrific job, and I've also like been really impressed with the team that the Ultra team is building. I mean, they've made a few hires recently where it's like, wow, like this is going to be a big business and such an interesting form factor. Obviously, same thing with gummies, but like healthy pouches, like that's like a really, really interesting concept, kind of mixed with wellness and stuff. So, I mean, those are two brands that just come to mind, but there's certainly a lot of great founders and operators doing a lot of cool things.
Yeah.
Man, I would love, I'm much more the latter of the two that you were describing there. I always need a numbers man right beside me to make sure I'm not running off the rails. But I would love your perspective on reaching and targeting and winning men, because my experience is that it's a tough crowd to get, but once you can win over that kind of customer, a lot of times they will stick with you forever. I mean, for a lot longer. I mean, example, the shirt that I'm wearing, I keep buying the same one. Why? Because I love it and I like it. So why would I get another one? But give us perspective on reaching men and as your core ICP and other aspects of that. I'm sure it's not just men in general, but just give us your perspective on reaching those kind of customers.
Yeah, a few things. And great question. I think in general, easier to reach, harder to convert for the reason that you just explained. It's like, well, I have a shirt company that I like, or like me, every Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I stock up on Lululemon 5-inch boxer briefs. And you just throw away last year's.
There you go.
It's just a rinse and repeat mentality. And like, once you kind of find the thing for the category, you have the thing. And like, why deviate from that? So I think effectuating consumer behavior change is the hardest thing to do in consumer, right? Like you have to kind of like reintroduce a discovery concept, which is admittedly quite difficult. What's interesting for our category is she still buys for the household in 80% of instances, right? So now we have a delta between customer and consumer, right? It's, hey, I bought this for my idiot husband because I'm tired of looking at the 64-ounce red pump jar that sits in the corner of our bathroom and has been like, that is what we hear time and time again.
I believe that.
So what's interesting about that is, so there's a greater receptivity to be like interested in what the partner's buying or using what the partner's using. But now we're also starting to see an emerging narrative around her, for him, for her, which is, hey, I bought this for my idiot boyfriend or husband. He really likes it, but I love the way that it smells.
Aha!
And it's 25% cheaper than what I buy, or 30% cheaper than what I. So now we buy the jumbo, we buy both, we use it for that, and like that has actually become a really interesting component of the business. So, men's is interesting. Just to double click on one kind of like fun anecdote that I can share. I mean, if you were to look at our top decile of customers, I don't know the exact number, but a lot. There have been a lot of guys who have purchased over 100 times since we've been alive as a brand. We've been alive as a brand for like 78 months. So if you do the math,
crazy.
You're like, what are you buying? Like I get this stuff for free and I didn't even go through it that fast. So it's just like, there's this irrationality around like you find something you love and you just stick to it. And hey, maybe Colin wasn't a cologne wearer, but because Huron launched cologne, like you're going to buy it because you're just going to assume that you're going to like it. Yeah. So I think there's building like a lot of trust post finish line, post conversion that we've been able to do and kind of spark up these relationships with these customers to really kind of like solidify and in some instances create like a source of truth for this particular category.
Wow. Yeah. My fiance forces me to wear cologne now because of I used to just smell horrible. You have been around for, you have been around through all the waves of consumer. I would argue you were around when Facebook CPMs were $8 or something, something along those lines. You have seen this entire ecosystem evolve. What are you excited about in 2026 where you're saying this is a really interesting channel? I think a lot of brands need to be involved with this. Maybe it's not the, $8 Facebook CPM kind of opportunity, but it's close to it.
Yeah. Really good question, Colin. I think, what's always funny to me is like, you see people post on Twitter, like I was a part of DTC 1.0 in 2017. I'm like, dude, we were running cool hunting ads in 2009. Like bet. Yeah. Like what version was that? Yeah. So that to me is always kind of fun. It's like the internet just launched like 10 years ago. It's like, that's not the case. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, when we were very early stage at Huron, like, people were getting funded left, right, and sideways and dumping 100% of sales into Meta, right? And you're just like, this thing's going to print itself. So, we never had that escape velocity out of the get-go. So it forced us to be a little bit more diligent around how we think about allocating capital and resources. In some ways, like it actually benefited us from not being the 0 to 30 in 1 year type, because you just get this false positive of like, oh, you're a really good marketer. It wasn't actually the case. I mean, I think a lot of folks in that era were just good at putting money into Meta and then taking a back seat, right? As we think about like 2026 and the road ahead, I mean, I saw you had Jordan on just now. We're looking a lot around like the pendulum swing back to humanization of things, where you can open claw everything and Claude Codex and do like, there's a time and a place for a lot of those things, and a lot of businesses will absolutely be displaced. But I think more than anything, as the AI continues to get good and AI videos continue to get good, like, what do IRL events look like?
Yeah.
And what do opportunities to like actually meet up with like real people? It's like, was that a real creator, or was that like, an AI output from 10 minutes ago? Like, I don't know. Well, you can't really replace like a run club or a meetup or a coffee thing or whatnot. And I think us being able to host events like that, but also we've made some like, part-time hires and hopefully full-time on kind of like creator relationships. So, we've all gotten the DM on TikTok or Instagram. It's like, hey, double space, colon, double space, comma. Like, we really love your content. It's like, what are you talking about? I don't post anything. We'd love for you to be a part of this ambassador program. Like, we are actually hiring folks to sit in that chair and be like, okay, here's exactly what we're looking for. Like, personally reach out from your handle, be like, hey, great, content on behalf of Huron. Like, here's my 2 reasons. Like, we'd love to send you some stuff. No questions asked. If you like it, let's have a meaningful conversation. If you don't, no sweat. And I think like that rebound back to like, oh, that's a human who's talking about human things, who's doing human events. Like, that actually becomes really, really exciting, because people buy and support brands. They don't buy and support products, right? So if you can be a lasting brand that has a heartbeat, like, you will have a position within this ecosystem.
Yeah.
Bars. Yeah, I think that, and Jordan was talking about this as well. I really do think there is a large anti-AI bet to be made that much of society will really respond to as we continue to meld with machine. You can't replace a heartbeat, and so doing things that don't scale and being human forward and being able to meet up with customers in real life, actually interact, it seems to be a great edge if one can actually afford to invest in it. And I hope that in 2026 a lot of brands will going live, in person, actual human driven communication, because I think it's going to be an edge to actually win. I fully agree with you.
No, I couldn't agree more.
Matt, we appreciate you coming and giving said perspective. You are one of the few people that I know who was on the internet selling things before me. I didn't get in until 2014, and you got in at 08.
DTC 1.0.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
I was 2016. Chris beat me. You beat Chris. Who's before you?
Bezos, maybe?
Yeah.
Bezos.
I think you got like Mark Lowry, like the diapers.com era.
Yeah.
I mean, Zappos was definitely
Zappos. There you go.
But yeah, I mean, like when we would look at guys to like poach, like there was no like, oh, you just go to this company, and like it's like you go to a bank or you go to a consulting firm. Like those were kind of the people that we were poaching. But
man, we really appreciate you making the time and coming on here and giving us all that perspective. Man, if you would tell people where to find you, where to get involved with Huron, what products they should buy first. Just give us a little bit of that before you get off here.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Twitter's probably the easiest place. Matt Mullenax, pretty easy to
Brother,
find.
I could not find you on Twitter today.
We couldn't find you.
I was looking for you.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm around.
Okay.
I mean, my last name isn't the easiest to spell. But yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay.
So good. I know my last name sounds like a decongestant, but yeah, if you can spell it right, then I'm there.
Okay.
I mean, look, when it comes to products, like, it's like picking your favorite child. I think one product that's just been like tried and true for us since day one is our body wash.
Yeah.
It's just so good. And like, I use way too much of it every single time, and I could care less. Like, it is just awesome. Like, my wife uses it. It's a great product. So if you were to start somewhere,
start there. Well, Matt, we appreciate you joining the show. We look forward to having you back, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
Sounds good. Super cool format. Thanks, guys.
It's great. I've got to find the